The tension in the West Philippine Sea is reaching dangerous levels. The United States, Canada, and the Philippines are taking a stand against China's aggressive maritime activities. Will this escalate into a full-blown military conflict? Stay tuned as we break down the latest developments. The West Philippine Sea, an area rich in natural resources and crucial for international trade routes, has been a flashpoint for geopolitical tensions. For years, China has aggressively expanded its presence, building artificial islands and stationing military vessels in disputed waters. But why does this matter to the United States and Canada? In response, the United States and Canada have ramped up their military presence in the region. Recent naval exercises with the Philippine Navy signal their commitment to defending maritime sovereignty. Just last week, a combined fleet of U.S., Canadian, and Philippine warships was spotted near the disputed waters, sending a clear message to Beijing. But China isn't backing down. Reports indicate that Beijing has deployed additional Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels to the region, increasing the risk of direct confrontation. Chinese warships have been circumnavigating Australia's coastline for more than 3 weeks, passing within 200 miles of Sydney and staging unprecedented live-fire drills on its doorstep with New Zealand. The exercises, which came without formal notice, have caused deep consternation in both nations. Suddenly, the specter of China's military power was no longer confined to the distant waters of the South China Sea or the Taiwan Strait, where China's territorial aggression has escalated under leader Xi Jinping, but a stark reality unfolding much closer to home. At the same time, Chinese warships have been sighted near Vietnam and Taiwan, part of a show of Chinese naval strength in the Pacific region that regularly rattles U.S. allies. China was unapologetic and insisted it complied with international law, with state media suggesting Western countries should get used to Chinese warships in nearby waters. Canada and the Philippines, both vocal critics of China's increasingly aggressive actions in the disputed South China Sea, have concluded talks for a key defense pact that would allow their forces to hold joint combat drills and boost defense engagements, the Department of National Defense in Manila said Friday. Canada and other Western nations have been reinforcing their military presence in the Indo-Pacific to help promote the rule of law and expand trade and investment in the region. That dovetails with Philippine efforts under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to broaden defense ties with friendly countries to bolster his country's defense as it faces an increasingly assertive China in the disputed South China Sea. The agreement with Canada will establish a framework for increased cooperation, fostering closer collaboration between defense and military establishments, improving interoperability between forces, and facilitating more effective joint exercises and capacity-building exercises, the Philippine Defense Department said. It is expected to allow larger joint exercises, including in the South China Sea off the western Philippines. No date was specified for signing the agreement, but a Philippine official said that could happen in the next few months at the earliest. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro told the Associated Press in an interview on Wednesday that the Philippines would continue to build security alliances with other friendly countries to deter China's aggression. Teodoro said China's hostile actions should be regarded as a global threat because they could eventually restrict movement in the South China Sea, a key global trade route crucial for global supply chains. The Philippines has visiting forces agreements with the United States and Australia that provide a legal framework for temporary visits by foreign troops and large-scale combat exercises. The Philippines signed a similar accord with Japan in July that's expected to be ratified by Japanese legislators by mid-year. Negotiations with New Zealand also recently concluded, and officials have been holding talks with France for a similar accord. Philippine authorities may seek visiting forces agreements with other countries, including Germany, India, and Singapore, Teodoro said. China claims virtually the entire South China Sea and has deployed Coast Guard and Navy fleets and suspected militia ships to guard what it says is its territory and airspace. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan also lay claims that clash with China's, and territorial confrontations have flared between Beijing and Manila in the last 2 years. In August, Canada joined the United States, Australia, and the Philippines in air and naval maneuvers to promote the rule of law and unhindered passage in the South China Sea. China said it conducted air and sea combat patrols on the same day. Although no confrontations were reported, the Philippine military said 3 Chinese Navy ships tailed the four-nation maneuvers. Last month, Canadian ambassador to Manila, David Hartman, said his country has been vocal in confronting the provocative and unlawful actions of the People's Republic of China in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea, and will continue to do so. Canada signed an agreement on defense cooperation with the Philippines last year. Another agreement signed in Ottawa in 2023 gave the Philippines access to data from Canada's Dark Vessel Detection System, which harnesses satellite technology to track illegal vessels even if they switch off their location-transmitting devices. The Philippine Coast Guard has used the high-tech Canadian technology to track Chinese Coast Guard ships and fishing vessels in the South China Sea. What happens next depends on how each side reacts. Will diplomatic talks prevail, or are we looking at an imminent naval showdown? Experts warn that even a minor incident could spiral into a larger conflict. This is a developing story, and we'll keep you updated on the latest developments. What do you think will happen next? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global affairs.